You know, we use thousands of words every day without even thinking about them. But what if one of the most common words we use was actually a code? In this explainer, we're going to deconstruct a word you know very, very well and see if there's a secret message hiding in plain sight.
So let me just start by asking this. What if the way a simple, everyday word is spelled wasn't an accident? What if it was built, deliberately, almost like a cipher, to hide a very specific meaning right under our noses? It's a pretty wild idea, and that's exactly what we're going to dig into today.
And here it is, the word we're putting under the microscope, believe. I mean, it seems totally straightforward, right? It's all about trust, about faith. But the source material we're looking at today suggests that we shouldn't see it as just a word, but as a piece of code that's just waiting for us to crack it.
So how in the world do you unlock something like this? Now, it's really important to get this straight. We are not talking about traditional etymology here, looking up word origins in a dusty old dictionary. No. Instead, we're exploring a very specific, kind of out there interpretation from our source that treats this word like a puzzle.
Okay, so every code needs a key, right? And the source for this whole theory gives us a very specific one. This is the absolute foundation, the one thing we need to understand before we can even begin to break the word down. So here's the key. According to our source, you just have to accept two things for this whole idea to work. First, the letters BE are a signifier for the sun. And second, the letters VE signify Venus. That's it. These two little pairs of letters are supposedly the keys that unlock the entire meaning of the word. Now take another look at the word believe. You see it? It starts with BE, which our key says is the sun, and it ends with VE, our symbol for Venus. So according to this theory, the middle of the word is literally sandwiched between these two big celestial symbols. Kind of cool, right?
All right, so we've got our key and we can see the structure. Now for the fun part. Let's actually break the word down into the three distinct pieces that the source identifies.
And the deconstruction is actually really simple. First, you just pull off the prefix, BE, which we now know stands for the sun. Then you look at what's sitting right there in the middle, the word lie. And finally, you've got the suffix VE, which of course represents Venus. So you've got BE, lie, and VE, three separate parts.
Okay, so we have all our pieces laid out on the table, the prefix, that word in the middle, and the suffix. So now, let's put them back together and see what this supposed hidden meaning actually is.
And here you have it. This is the absolute central claim of this theory. When you assemble those parts, believe is interpreted as an actual sentence. Be can mean to be, or in this case, to accept. Then you literally have the word lie. And finally, V for Venus. You put it all together, and the conclusion is to believe is to accept the lie of Venus. It's a completely different way to look at a word we use constantly. So think about that. We started with a word we all thought we knew inside and out. But by applying this very specific cipher, this key, we've ended up with a totally different interpretation. It's a really fascinating example of how you could look at language as a series of codes, not just, a jumble of words. And that brings us to the final, really provocative question that the source leaves us with. If believe can be broken down like this, what other words out there are hiding secret messages in plain sight? It's a thought that might just make you look at the language you speak and maybe even what you believe a little differently.